Hi, I'm Emily and I'm here to show you how to make a fall foraged wreath. Now, my favorite part about fall is all of the leaves and stems and growth in your yard or just in your surroundings. I think they can be really beautiful on a wreath on your front door. So the best thing to do is you can go on a scavenger hunt within your own yard, or if with permission, your neighbor's yard or various areas in your neighborhood. And you can actually involve the entire family, and picking up leaves and stems and even herbs work really, really nicely when it comes to making a wreath. First, you want to start with gathering your tools. You want some good clippers. Now, these are really great to use on any kind of stem that you use, or better on branches. And if you're good with a floral knife, that's great for softer stems. Also, you want wire cutters. And if you can get a paddle of floral wire that just stays one whole length, that's the best thing to use. Your next step is to get a wreath form. You can get any kind of wreath form at a craft or floral supply store. You can get a willow branch or even a grapevine leaf wreath. It just depends on your personal preference. We've taken a wire wreath holder and mossed it just to kind of cover up the metal part of the wreath holder. But I'm going to actually double this up so it just lends a little bit more support. So I learned how to make a foraged wreath from our creative director, Eric Cortina. And at first I was really intimidated because I have never done this before. But he showed me that it's actually, if you take a lot of time and you have patience and you have some good tools, that anybody can do this. And if it's perfectly imperfect, that's exactly what you want. So what I like to do is start with some big leaves. This is a liquid amber, cut straight from the tree. And I just want to cut off some stems just to kind of make a tighter grouping. And you can just keep gathering until you feel like you have a good enough amount. So once you take your grouping, you put it against your wreath form. And you take this wire and you want to just twist it really well so that it's secure. And this is the best tip I've learned from Eric when making a wreath like this, is you keep the wire on the paddle and you don't cut it until the very end. And what you do is you can kind of go in between your leaves and wrap it around so it's tight. And this will just secure everything that you're wanting to attach to your wreath form. So you just keep going with whatever stem you like. So I'm going to keep going with the liquid amber and group it again. And then you kind of just tuck it a little bit underneath the first grouping that you had, just so it overlaps a little bit. You're just going to continue to cover all the imperfections with more stems, so don't worry about any weird gaps or anything like that. So this is grevillea. I really love the kind of fluffiness and thickness of this, but it has a really delicate nature to it. It kind of reminds me of rosemary, or even this, I kind of think of it as like the fall version of juniper or cedar. But I think it's just so beautiful and just really unique. Everything that you see here, I've cut from our own garden here at Rogers Gardens. So what you do is when you're adding the next step, you can keep wrapping it with your floral wire, but because you've already wrapped it the first time with the liquid amber, you can actually just kind of stuff it in underneath the wire and it holds. And it just has like a really beautiful natural curve to it. So the grevillea dries actually really nicely, so this could be perfect for a long-lasting wreath. So I just kind of keep grabbing stems and going around. And you can go back and add a little bit more if you want to add some more depth. So this is what it looks like when you added all that grevillea. It just really adds a lot of texture and a lot of fun to it. And it's just, leave it where it lays. Leucadendron is also a really beautiful plant to use. I love it for fall just because it has all those warm color tones to it. So just same thing, grab a few pieces, group it together, and then you just stuff it in the same direction that you've always kind of been going. And then sometimes you can still loop it underneath the wire that you originally started with the liquid amber, but occasionally, just to make sure everything is super secure, I still go around with the wire that I still have not cut. So this is what it looks like after you use leucadendron. I still have my wire attached. And then next I'm going to use miscanthus, and I believe this is morning light. It's a type of grass. And I sprayed it with hairspray, is great to use if you have that at home. It just kind of helps with all the flyaways. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a grouping, get all this excess strips off. And then I'm just going to add it here and there. So you really could just be done with your wreath like this, but I thought we'd just keep going and add a couple more items to it. So what I have next is a chondropendulum. It's like a horsetail, and they're very thin, so I like to group a lot of them together. So because the chondropendulum is so thin and I have them in such a big group, I definitely want to use my wire to make sure that it's secure. So what I'm doing is basically just getting them to roughly the same length. Not all of it. I want it a little bit of a difference in length, but just trying to position them close together. And then I'll cut it. So what I have here, it's an actual weed, but I think just with the color and the feel of it, I think it's perfect for fall. So I'm gonna use it in my wreath. What you can do too with a weed or something that, along with the grass, same as the grass, you can spray it with hairspray so you don't get a lot of flyaways. And then I'm just gonna cut it and just continue to add it into my wreath. So I saved some of the liquid amber, and I actually have what I think is really cool, Virginia creeper. It's a vine. And I keep it to help fill some holes that I may still have. So I have a big one right over here. So I'm just gonna add that in. And once you feel like you're done with your wreath and everything feels secure, you just take your clippers, your wire clippers, and just cut the floral wire. And then you just attach it on the back side of your wreath and just do a nice little twist. So you want to just slide it underneath the frame. Pull really tight, and then you can just do it again. And just tuck it right in. There you go.